Have you ever found yourself doing things you clearly don't want to, just to please someone or receive approval? This type of behavior is more common than it seems and has a name: insecurity. It leads us to crave attention, overindulge, and often lose our center. But imagine for a moment a different path. One where you don't have to diminish yourself to be loved, where your authenticity becomes your greatest magnet. Stoicism teaches us that true strength comes not from controlling others, but from mastering ourselves. By cultivating courage, self-awareness, and respect for our own values, we begin to experience relationships in a more balanced and genuine way. And, believe me, this isn't just theory. Small daily practices, such as reflecting on your choices or recognizing harmful patterns, can already begin to transform your inner security. In this content, we'll explore how to stop begging for love, how to transform insecurity into trust, and how to build bonds based on reciprocity, companionship, and mutual growth. Get ready to discover practical strategies, historical examples, and reflections that can change your perspective on relationships. After all, loving authentically and consciously is possible, and you can start today. Authenticity as a gravitational center. Staying true to yourself is like being the sun of your own emotional system. When insecurity makes us constantly seek approval or shape our behavior to please others, we lose our natural magnetism. Authenticity is that silent force that attracts people who truly connect with who we are. Valuing your essence doesn't mean closing yourself off from others, but rather establishing a standard of respect and self-awareness, which serves as the foundation for solid relationships. Each authentic gesture reinforces your values and inspires self-confidence. We often give in to the fear of rejection and try to fit into external expectations, but this creates fragile bonds, based more on appearance than on real companionship. Insecurity whispers that we need to be different from who we are, but the courage to show who we truly are has a transformative effect. By acting authentically, we attract people who respect our individuality, not just the version we imagine they want to see. To practice authenticity, start by identifying situations in which you feel tempted to please or justify choices. Ask yourself, am I acting for myself or for the other person? Small actions, such as expressing a sincere opinion in conversations or acknowledging your preferences and limits, strengthen self-confidence. Authenticity is also an invitation to growth. By accepting yourself fully, even with your imperfections, you create a stable emotional field that naturally attracts reciprocity and respect. Love as cultivation, not as an instantaneous event. The romantic view of love at first sight often leads us to confuse passion with a lasting bond. Insecurity arises when we want immediate results and instant perfection, as if love were an event rather than a process. True love is more like a garden. It requires daily care, patience, and dedication. Just as plants need water, light, and nutrients, relationships require attention, respect, and reciprocity to flourish. Accepting this dynamic brings serenity and avoids unnecessary frustration. Nurturing a relationship is an opportunity for personal growth. Instead of expecting the other person to fill emotional gaps, you learn to offer genuine support, attentive listening, and constant companionship. Small daily gestures, sincere messages, deep conversations, moments of care, are the fertilizer for this garden we call love. Insecurity diminishes as you realize that bonds are built with consistency, not urgency. Practicing this vision of love also means allowing yourself to make mistakes and learn. There is no perfection, only evolution. When you value authenticity and recognize your own limits, you create space for others to do the same. By treating each interaction as a cultivation, not a race, you strengthen trust, mutual respect, and true emotional connection. Thus, love ceases to be an anxious rush and becomes a fulfilling and enriching experience. Self-awareness and patterns of choice. Recognizing your relationship patterns is essential to building healthy bonds. Insecurity often leads us to repeat harmful behaviors, choosing partners who reinforce old fears or needs. Developing self-awareness means observing your decisions without judgment, identifying internal tendencies and motivations. When you understand why you choose certain people, you can align your actions with your values, rather than acting on impulse or a need for approval. This internal perspective strengthens your confidence and helps break exhausting cycles. Practicing self-awareness can be simple and powerful. Start by noting your emotions and decisions at different points in your relationship, noticing recurring patterns. Ask yourself, why am I attracted to this person? What fears or insecurities are influencing my choices? These reflections, even short ones, promote emotional growth and help create more balanced bonds. The more aware you are of your actions, the less room there will be for frustration or regret. Furthermore, self-awareness is an invitation to emotional responsibility. By recognizing your choices, you don't become hostage to external expectations or the approval of others. This process also strengthens the courage to set boundaries, prioritize self-respect, and choose true companionship. With consistent practice, your relationships begin to reflect authenticity, reciprocity, and solid values, rather than relying on automatic patterns guided by insecurity or fear of loneliness. Reason and emotion in balance. Many people confuse physical attraction with genuine love, and this is where insecurity finds fertile ground. When we let ourselves be carried away solely by emotion, it's easy to create fragile expectations and depend on the other person's validation. Combining reason and emotion means observing feelings without being consumed by them, evaluating whether the bonds truly respect your values and boundaries. This balance allows for more informed decisions and more stable relationships, where companionship and reciprocity flourish naturally. Practicing this harmony between heart and mind requires attention and reflection. Before getting emotionally involved, ask yourself, does this align with my principles? Am I seeking connection or just filling an insecurity? Small exercises, such as writing down the pros and cons of an emotional situation or meditating on feelings before acting, help strengthen self-awareness. Over time, you develop the clarity to differentiate intense passion from deep connection. Furthermore, this balance creates space for personal growth within the relationship. Emotions are not enemies, but powerful tools when understood. Reason guides, emotion brings us closer. Together, they strengthen respect, authenticity, and courage to face challenges, preventing insecurities from transforming attraction into emotional dependence. Thus, bonds based on awareness and reciprocity become more lasting and rewarding. Reciprocity as the basis of trust. Healthy love is, above all, a fair exchange, giving and receiving in equal measure. When insecurity dominates, it's common to invest more than one receives, eroding self-esteem and undermining the emotional bond. Recognizing the importance of reciprocity helps protect one's integrity and establish clear boundaries. Balanced relationships flourish when both parties share companionship, attention, and care, creating a safe space where mutual growth is possible. Practicing reciprocity starts with small, everyday actions. Observe whether your gestures of affection and attention are reciprocated, without exaggerated expectations. Ask yourself, am I being valued as I deserve? This reflection, though simple, is powerful in reducing insecurity and strengthening self-esteem. By recognizing the other person's efforts and also demanding respect for your own values, you build solid trust, which doesn't depend on external approval, but on internal balance. Furthermore, reciprocity fosters a virtuous cycle of growth and authenticity. When you act with sincerity and respect, you inspire others to do the same, elevating the quality of the relationship. Small, consistent acts, from listening attentively to supporting important decisions, reinforce companionship and authenticity. Over time, fair exchange becomes natural, and insecurity gives way to inner security, trust, and the freedom to experience true relationships. Self-respect and the courage to leave. Knowing how to end a relationship is often one of the most courageous acts we can perform. Insecurity tries to convince us that it's better to stay, even when there's no respect, but staying in situations like this corrodes our essence and undermines our self-esteem. Loving yourself first is setting the standard for how we want to be treated. This attitude isn't selfishness, but self-awareness in action, demonstrating that our values and emotional well-being are a priority. The courage to leave requires clarity and self-confidence. Before making any decision, Reflect on your boundaries. Am I being treated with respect? Does this relationship promote mutual growth or just anxiety? By recognizing signs of devaluation, you strengthen your autonomy and prevent insecurity from dictating harmful choices. Establishing clear boundaries protects not only self-esteem but also emotional integrity, fostering healthier bonds in the future. Furthermore, leaving a relationship that doesn't respect our values is a step toward personal transformation. The experience, though painful, teaches us about companionship, reciprocity, and self-worth. With each conscious decision, you move closer to more authentic relationships, where trust is natural and insecurity doesn't dictate rules. Thus, self-respect becomes the foundation for conscious and sustainable romantic choices. Accept what you cannot control. We can't change other people's feelings, no matter how much insecurity makes us insist on convincing them. Trying to control what is naturally unpredictable only leads to frustration and emotional exhaustion. Accepting a no or realizing that someone doesn't share your desires isn't a sign of personal worthlessness, but an opportunity to align expectations and protect your inner balance. This acceptance is an exercise in self-awareness, courage, and self-respect. Accepting what we can't control also means understanding that each person has their own time and choices. Insecurity leads us to interpret rejection as attacks on our essence, but in reality, each other's decision reflects our own values, priorities, and feelings. When you internalize this difference, you reduce anxiety and create space for healthier relationships based on authenticity and genuine companionship. Practicing this approach is liberating and strengthens personal confidence. For example, when you receive a no or notice a lack of interest, try reflecting, "This doesn't diminish my value. I can continue cultivating my authenticity and my values." This daily exercise teaches you to live with serenity in the face of uncertainty, transforming insecurity into self-awareness and emotional security, paving the way for more genuine and lasting bonds. Choosing beyond appearance. Physical beauty is undeniably attractive, but it doesn't sustain a lasting relationship. Insecurity often makes us value only superficial standards for immediate validation, creating fragile and fleeting bonds. Looking beyond appearance means observing the other person's character, affinity, values, and attitudes. By prioritizing these qualities, you establish deeper and more consistent connections based on companionship, respect, and mutual growth. Practicing this choice requires reflection on what truly matters. Ask yourself, am I attracted to this person or what they represent for my self-esteem? Small exercises, such as getting to know someone more intimately before judging by first impressions or appreciating gestures of kindness, help strengthen your self-awareness and reduce the influence of insecurity. This way, you build more balanced and emotionally secure relationships. Furthermore, choosing beyond appearance strengthens your own authenticity. When you connect with who the other person truly is, you create space for true reciprocity and avoid illusory idealizations. This practice promotes love based on solid values, true companionship, and joint growth. Inner security becomes more present, and your love life gains depth and meaning, resisting the superficial pressures of society. Partnership as friendship and growth. An ideal partner isn't just someone we're attracted to, but also a friend, advisor, and constant support. Insecurity can lead us to unattainable ideals or to invest in people who don't genuinely reciprocate. Valuing true companionship means seeing the partnership as a space for mutual growth, where both parties learn, share responsibilities, and grow emotionally stronger. This perspective transforms the relationship into a secure and stimulating bond. Practicing this approach requires observing daily attitudes, small gestures, and consistency. Friendship within a relationship is revealed in listening without judgment, supporting decisions, and celebrating achievements together. When you prioritize emotional connection, reciprocity, and trust, you create a solid foundation that doesn't depend on drama, insecurity, or constant displays of affection. Companionship, in this context, becomes an essential ingredient for lasting bonds. Furthermore, seeing your partner as a friend and growth partner strengthens your self-awareness and authenticity. By investing in someone who respects your values and shares your goals and dreams, You experience relationships based on respect, courage, and acceptance. This perspective helps reduce insecurity and encourages personal and joint growth, making your bond more balanced, rewarding, and resilient to life's adversities. The example of Marcus Aurelius and Faustina. The story of Marcus Aurelius and Faustina shows us that solid love arises from conscious choice and mutual respect, even in the face of adversity. The Roman emperor practiced self-awareness and constantly reflected on his actions, cultivating relationships based on values, loyalty, and companionship. This model contrasts sharply with relationships driven by insecurity, fleeting impulses, or the search for external validation, demonstrating that lasting love requires presence and emotional responsibility. Marcus Aurelius and Faustina also demonstrate that trust and respect aren't automatic. They're built daily. Small acts of consideration, patience, and understanding strengthen the partnership, allowing for individual and joint growth. This historical example is a reminder that authenticity and reciprocity are essential for deep relationships, and that ignoring these foundations in favor of haste or momentary desire only creates fragile bonds. Finally, looking at this example encourages us to adopt similar practices in our daily lives. Exercising self-awareness, acting courageously, respecting our own and others' limits, and valuing genuine companionship transforms the way we relate to one another. Insecurity fades when we follow solid principles, and trust, built step by step, becomes the foundation of conscious, balanced, and lasting love. It's time to reflect. How can you apply these teachings to your love life today? Ask yourself, am I acting out of insecurity or authenticity? Am I cultivating relationships based on values, respect, and reciprocity, or am I simply chasing approval? Small changes in the way you think and act can completely transform the quality of your relationships and strengthen your personal confidence. Reflect on your past choices and recognize patterns that no longer serve you. By practicing self-awareness, courage, and acceptance, you begin to create genuine relationships based on mutual growth, companionship, and authenticity. Each conscious step strengthens your inner security, diminishing the influence of insecurity and boosting your self-esteem. Now is the time to take action. Value yourself, set clear boundaries, and seek partners who share your values and goals. Let your choices reflect courage, self-respect, and authenticity. And if you want to continue evolving on this path, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to stay up to date with more content that will help you transform your emotional life in a practical and conscious way.